Yeah. And they'll pass through. They're going to try and make that on Tuesday. They cut everything yesterday.
Lumpy leaves. If you, just about every vineyard you go to, you will find, you will see a little bit of that. There's a bit more of it this year. That is actually a deformation caused by an insect called a blister mite. You can see why it's called a blister mite. It's caused that little blister. In fact, it disturbs the hairs underneath the leaf. They really don't do any harm at all, which is just as well because we can't do much about it. Let's talk about something more positive, like than the weather. Actually, this year, if we talk about the weather, this year has been quite difficult. And our first weather worry in the year is actually frost. If you were here in May, there would have been candles sitting in the vineyard ready to light in the middle of the night. We did actually only light once this year, and we perhaps even didn't need to do that because it was having lit at about 3 in the morning at minus 0.9. A friendly cloud came across and it warmed up again. But over the last 18 years or so, we've generally lit. Well, we lit every year except for last year. So it is a problem in vineyards to have to frost in late April, early May. Let's start at basics. Vines grow in pretty cold places, don't they? Switzerland, Canada, minus 15, no problem in the middle of winter. But it's when the buds burst, when you get some green tissue, that green tissue is not frost hardy, and so that's where you have an issue. So in fact, what is particularly bad news for a vineyard's perspective, and you'll be surprised to hear this, is that if you have some mild days in say February, and you're sitting in the garden saying, "This is nice, let's have a cup of tea," or maybe something a little stronger, wouldn't be till wouldn't be after about 3 o'clock. But if you've got a beautiful day and you think, "Oh, this is really good," you're completely wrong. It's a bloody nuisance, because if you get warm days in February, the vines will get the idea, "Oh, wake up time," and we'll start to, the sap will start moving around and the buds will burst a bit earlier. Everything's running about a week late. So, how many French speakers do we have here? Oh, oui, good, the bar. Qu'est-ce que c'est, Monsieur Meunier? It is a late budder. Now, why would a late budder be of any interest to anybody? They're gardeners there. Yeah, you have an advantage, don't they? Should say this is not for gardeners, this question. No, absolutely right. You stand a chance of missing the frost. But don't rely on it too much. It's only about a week different to Pinot Noir. But there are vines growing. Look, there's natural vines growing there. Produce nice grapes. We picked 2 tons.
2 tons.
That was really a write-off, yeah, almost. Something to do at all. This year, if we got 15 tons. So normally, we would be in this sort of 30, between 30 to 40
tons.
Yeah.
That's decent.
So hopefully you will have seen lovely little berries on the vines. They are going to swell up over the next month or so. By the end of August, they will start to change colour. So the white varieties are, are going to go to a sort of yellowy colour, and when they get really ripe, you'll be able to see inside the yellow skin of the berry and see the two seeds inside. And you'll see, if you watch winemakers, they will spit into their hands during the ripening season. You think, well, they've got some educational challenges. But what they often, or hopefully what they're only doing, is they'll chew a berry and they'll spit the seeds into their hands, and so they can then study the colour of the seeds. The seeds will turn from white to brown as the berries ripen. They lignify, a bit like a palm stem lignifies. And so when you see white seeds, you know there is more ripening to happen in the berry. So you'll see that happening. The other variety, the red varieties, what we call red varieties, things like Pinot Noir, Pinot Meunier, turn from that pea green colour to a sort of purpley colour. And the red, all but one of the red varieties we have, that red variety is just the skin colour. If we cut the berry in half of the Pinot Noir, it's green in the middle. And what the Champenois have been really successful at is extracting the juice from inside the red or white skin berries and just getting the juice out. So that's one thing I'll be talking about in a moment. So after grapes have changed colour, which is normally the last week of August, I will go and collect bunches of grapes from around the vineyard, bring them back in here. I'll squash all the juice out of them. I split the vineyard into 25 areas, different varietals, Chardonnay ripens at different rates, say Pinot Noir, different ages of vine. We plant in blocks, so there aren't endless numbers of ages, so we'll probably have 3 different ages of Chardonnay. And I split the ages up because the younger the vine is, the longer it takes to ripen the berries. So I'm trying to ring fence things into similar ripening speeds. So I bring 25 batch grapes in here. I just squash the juice out and I analyse for the 2 sugars that develop in grape juice, the glucose and fructose. So I'll be watching how those sugars are accumulating. And that's where the sugars we're going to convert into alcohol. So I think that would be, if I asked you what would be a sensible thing to check, sugar would probably be one of the answers I would get. So I have, this is a graph, I have a line, and I plot the sugars readings and the rate of, and mark the rate of change as it's trying to hit a target level of alcohol. And I'm trying to predict whether in a week or 2 weeks' time that particular area will have enough alcohol for us to make wine. But much more important than the 2 sugars are the 2 acids. There are 2 acids in grape juice. One is called malic acid, the other is tartaric acid. Malic acid is the acid you find in apples. So if you've ever eaten an underripe apple and you get this tart sensation at the top of your palate, that's malic acid. Or a cooking apple, if you ever tried to include that as one of your 5 a day, you can soon stop because they're really tart and they need to be covered with sugar and put in pastry. That's the sort of discipline you need to give a cooking apple, which you respect later. Put it in pastry, that'll shut it up. Really good vintages for the UK. Most established vineyards had a really good crop, and it was a nice summer. Limited sort of frost damage, that sort of thing, good flowering, and generally a nice summer. And this is a blend of Chardonnay, Pinot Noir, Pinot Meunier. When I talked about wine in tank 23 of the winery, this was the one I'm referring to the blend. In 2018, we grew more Chardonnay berries, and so in this wine it's about 50% Chardonnay, and the other 50% is made of Pinot Noir, Pinot Meunier. So when you try this wine, I think you'll pick up more citrusy, green apple notes from the Chardonnay than you would from the other berries, from the sort of red fruits you get from Pinot Noir, Pinot Meunier. That's wine A. Wine B is our 2018 Sparkling Rosé, which has no Chardonnay, it's just Pinot Noir, Pinot Meunier, and it has the nice red berry fruits from those 2 berries, varietals. That's wine B. Wine C is our 2020 Blanc de Noir. In 2020, we had a very warm start to the year. When we were all shut to the floor. And at the end of the year, we actually had quite a nice sunny summer. And so technically I would like this wine to be whiter, but because of all the challenges in that year, I thought I'd just celebrate whatever colour the wine came out. So it's supposed to be Blanc Noir, meaning white from black grapes, but actually it's more like peach de Noir. But I think this wine is 2 years younger than the other 3 wines you have, and therefore the acidity is a little bit higher. We have retained a higher level of residual sugar in the wine, so it's a little bit more off-dry than the other wines. This is to balance the fact the acidity is there. So I'd be interested to know whether when you taste this you pick it up as being a bit sweeter, and whether in fact you prefer that slightly off-dry style for this style of sparkling wine. But a nice one to compare, it's got the same berries as in the rosé wine too. So you compare B and C, you can see whether you prefer it slightly more dry or dry. So that would be quite a nice comparison. Then wine D, this is my favourite, it's our Blanc to Blanc, maybe 100% Chardonnay, 2018 vintage. So a nice green apple flavours coming through there. And in theory, if you mixed B and D, you can make A. Check that out, that will complete your education. That's brilliant stuff. Anyway, enjoy. I will have a sip of each and then go back through to this one.
Thank you.
They're literally, they're a bit like a craft brewer. They will buy all their ingredients in, so they'll buy grapes from one of the vineyards, so they don't need a vineyard, and then they have the tanks, they do the fermentation, they might even outsource some of the bottling, but they have this brand, and they have bars and things. But it'd be quite fun, given this in this sort of London area. You can go at a weekend to pop in and see what's the score. We've learned about winemaking. Tell me how you do it.
Yeah, of course.
You can compare notes, and then you'll be back here going, not as good as you.